Mhm. Mhm. All right. Hello. All right. That's good. Turn recording on. There we go. See, are we recording now? Perfect. Okay, so I'll repeat what I said. Yeah, so I've got Mosaic uploaded, and I've got some online orders to fulfill. Looks like 4 new ones. And so one point of note with this whole online order thing is when I'm training new stores and when Mosaic is training staff to handle online orders, they treat online orders like phone calls. So essentially, you wouldn't let the phone ring and ring and ring and ring, and then if it went to voicemail, you wouldn't spend a day or two getting back to the customer. You would jump on it right away. And that's the same expectation today with online orders. They are, people expect a sense of urgency or a quick response with them. And so we train our staff and our new stores to essentially, as soon as they see a new online order up here, if they can, jump on it right away. And of course, the caveat to that is we don't expect you to be fulfilling online orders at 2 a.m. Most customers understand you're an independent business, so you're not going to be checking online orders outside of business hours. But within business hours, it's good to jump on them as soon as you can. So all online orders are dealt with in the point of sale. So I'm going to jump over to the point of sale here. And even though I've got one up on my screen right now, we always start the process by doing an S for search. And those of you on a book version of Bookmanager, basically within the last year or so, or 8 months or so, will have the new logging feature. And this logging feature is a quick way of loading online orders, but also applying different statuses to orders, so you know where they're at in terms of whether they're completely finished or they've got a problem or that sort of thing. So if you haven't experimented with the logging or even turned it on, you'll definitely want to give us a shout, because it is an option that you can turn off or on. So some of the legacy users, even if you've gone through an update, may not have this turned on. So if you're hitting S for search in the point of sale and you don't see this log option, let us know. We'll show you how to turn it on. You may need an update, or it may just be an Alt S setup option that needs to be toggled. But otherwise here, I'm going by default, O for online is placed in the log when I go here, and it will remember your choice. So if you're doing, if you're working with some, say, problem orders or other orders, you just have to put that letter in and it will remember your choice going forward. But in this case, O for online. And this list here, once I press enter to load it, is going to show my new online orders in order of oldest to newest. So it's always trying to do, work with first come, first serve. So you can see right here, it's always going to show no old to new. And we'll just start at the top of the list here and see what we got. So I've got an online order here loaded. New online is the status. And the way I like to read these online orders is from the top to the bottom. And I start with this area here because this area is going to tell me if something is an in-store pickup, if it's going to be shipped, it'll say ship, or if it's a local delivery, it'll say local deliver. The terms area will specify if it's prepaid or not, and the payment type. So it'll say, MasterCard or Visa, or it'll say PayPal. In this case, though, it's blank. So the blank terms means they're going to pay at pickup. We don't know how they want to pay yet, so it's blank. So going down further, I can see that it's pretty cut and dry. I have a customer name attached to this order. There's no bill to up at the top, and we'll get to an example where sometimes you have a customer who has their account on the web store, yet they're deciding to ship to a different address. So that will be fairly obvious, but I'm seeing just a single address and account. Plus this is a pickup, so I don't really care about their address, but it's here. I get to see their preference for communication. So they want an email, and this preference is updated after every order. So if a customer did an order and they select a text message and then they ordered a day later and chose email as their next preference, this would actually go back and change their account and override that. So this is always being updated with their most recent preference. I'm getting down to the details down below here. So this line is very important because it will show you things like the online order number, which is a way to kind of reference both on the website and in Bookmanager. You can always look it up fast with this number. It's also going to tell if there's payment details, or in this case, it's giving you a hint, CF3. So if you see this little note that says CF3, it's because the customer left an instruction with their order. And we used to show a little preview of it beforehand, but it was always truncated. It was cut off because there was not enough room to do this. So now we're just saying CF3. So that's your cue on your keyboard to hit F3 to have a look. And when I press F3, what I'm going to get on it is the customer's order history. And in fact, in this case, I have to arrow through. This probably doesn't happen all that often, but in this case, I'm not actually seeing the order that is in question on my screen. I pressed F3 and I'm actually loading my most recent order for this customer, not the one in question. So normally it's going to take you right to the order in question, but since I have 3 online orders that have been unfulfilled, it's kind of taking me to the first one. So what I need to do is actually arrow down, and this is my first one I was dealing with, and this is where I can see the note. So that F3 message is telling me to look here and look at the comment. So it's you can view this in your email as well. So you're going to get an email copy of this order sent to your email, so you can always look at it there. But I like to just live in Bookmanager, so here I can just see that comment. I'm out of town until December 16th. Can you hold these until then? I'll be by after the 16th to pick up. Thank you. So the customer is asking a bit of a question, and so in that case, I want to make sure that I respond to their question, in my emailed response notification once I've kind of dealt with their order. So I'm pressing escape now to go back out of here, back to the online order in question. And I've read their message, so I know I need to, let them know if we'll hold it to the 16th or not. So I'm going to say yes. And so now at this part, I need to basically work with the online order. And my first place I'm looking at is the quantity field. Essentially, this is going to tell me if anything needs to be ordered or if it's all in stock. you'll also see in newer versions of Bookmanager color coding in this area too. You will see anything that is marked that needs to be ordered in a blue color. So everything here is white. We're seeing a quantity 1. There's no indicator of back orders needed. And we'll get to an example where there are back orders or things that need to be ordered. But essentially everything here is looking like it's in stock. So at this point, if I'm working with this, what I want to basically do is mark this order that I, Trevor, am working with it. So if you have multiple staff who are trained to fulfill online orders, you're not stepping on each other's toes. Now, a little caveat to that is that our own store, we don't have all of our staff trained on online orders because it essentially requires, a pretty bright, intuitive staff member to understand all of the corner cases. So we typically choose a few point people who are more detail oriented at our store, and we've trained them specifically to deal with online orders. And we always make sure that one of those people, at least one of them, are on hand at any given day that we're open, so they can fulfill online orders. But we've worked with stores where all staff have been trained on online orders, and it can get a bit messy because everybody may do them a little bit differently and may not know all the tools in depth. So communication is key, and the communication breakdown is a lot higher if you have a lot of people. So having maybe just a few point people will simplify things. In this case, in our own bookstore, we have 2 people who are essentially trained on online orders. So when one of them starts working on them, they're going to immediately bring it up, have a look at it, and then hit L for log. So L for log allows you to assign a status to this. And essentially what we want to choose is picking. If it's items that are actually going to be picked, physical things, we'll use P for picking. You can also choose the status down here of M for mine. It's more of a generic status, but mine maybe is a better status for when you're, say, working with an online order that doesn't have stuff all in stock. It's all things that need to be ordered. But picking works either way. It doesn't, it won't break the system if you choose picking on an order that has all out of stock items. So anyway, I'm doing P for picking. I'm doing page down. I'm putting in my clerk code. The reason the clerk code is asked is so that it can assign a name up here. And it also, you'll see the online order counter will now go down. So it's assuming that you don't have 4 new online. You're dealing with one of them. So now we're down to 3. And I've marked myself as, who's dealing with this. So the very next step I am doing is I need to find these books. And to do so, I'm going to use a pick list. So I'm going to hit P for print, and I'm going to go L for pick list. So down here, you get a number of options for documents you can print. So L is the pick list one. You'll also notice on newer versions of Bookmanager, there's an H for held receipt. The pick list actually works better in this case than a held receipt. What you're going to get from a pick list is you're going to get a customer's name, large bold text at the very top of the receipt. It's going to say pick list at the top. It's also going to have a barcode that you can scan that will bring up their online order. So just like the new held receipt function, the pick list will also include a barcode. The difference between the pick list and the held receipt is the pick list will list also things like whether it's pickup, needs to be shipped, local delivered. That will be in bold on the receipt. The held receipt will not have that. The pick list will also have all the items organized by class and author on the slip. So that way, when you're going through it, you can, go to a particular area, a different particular class of your store, and kind of start doing picking that way. Whereas the held receipt will not be organized by class and author's name. So again, if you're doing this, use L for pick list. Make sure you're on a newer version of Bookmanager because again, the pick list function has been updated to include a barcode and the via, at the top of the receipt. So I'm going to take this slip of paper. I walk around the store and I'm going to find these books. And say I go around and I find Brown Bear. Great, all good. I find Hello Humpback. Great, all good. I find I Am Human. Okay, perfect. But I can't seem to find I Want My Hat. I've searched all around the store and I can't find it. So what do I do in this case? So I don't just send my customer notification that all is good because a book is missing. So what I need to do is mark the item that is missing or any items that have problems, and then communicate that to my customer. So I'm going to use E for edit to get into this held sale, this online order. And I'm going to go down, and on if there's any problems with any of these items, I'm going to use the B for backorder command. So this is something that maybe many of you don't know or don't use, but B for backorder is a way to change the stock or the sell status of an item. So not stock status, but the sell status. So I can hit B for backorder. It's going to bring up this menu, and by default, it's chosen sell because it thinks we have it in stock, but I can't find it. So I have all these other options here. What our store chooses to use is either canceled, out of stock, or canceled by us. Either one works just fine. But I'm just going to choose the basic canceled OS, and I'm going to also write out a little message in my notification to my customer. So I'm not just going to rely on the customer to figure out what's going on, but I'm going to give them options. So I can't find this book in my store, so I'm going to cancel it, and you'll see there's a now C here showing 1C. One has been canceled out of stock. And at this point, I need to, before I notify my customer, maybe do some research. Maybe the customer would be willing to order this book and wait. So, might as well ask. So right from here, I can do a comma to bring up the pub stock. I can see my sources. Okay, I want to get this fast for my customer. So I'm probably going to choose Raincoast, get it real quick, $11.99, no big deal. So this is an easy one. So I can order this. So I'm going to come armed with that information in the back of my head when I go on to notifying. But at this point, if I've got everything else
Trevor,
in stock.
Can you show again what you just did? Bring that up. I'd not seen that before. Sorry.
The like the BOS, the status one, or the
the publishers.
okay. Well, this is comma in the system for pub stock. So if you hit the comma key anywhere in Bookmanager when you're on a title, you can press comma and it will overlay your pub stock. So if you haven't set this up, because you can configure this view to show your default vendors who you use, the priority, all that other stuff. In Canada, we have an actual exchange going on here. So when we're buying in US dollars, it's going to do that conversion for us. All this can be configured. So if this is new to you, we'll give us a shout. But yeah, so so at this point, since I'm kind of finished working with this order here, I've got all I can. I'm not going to tender it. So we don't tender or we don't pre-sell anything at our store. And in this case, the customer isn't prepaying. They're doing a pay at pickup. So you can essentially just escape out of this when we're done. We're not going to tendering. We're going to go escape and put it back as a held transaction. So this is now held. I've got the 3 books I have, 1 canceled. I am now going to notify my customer. So this is where I'm going to hit P for print. I'm going to hit N for notice, and it's going to automatically choose the preference for their notification. So you can see right here, the preference was email. It's going to automatically know that is their preference, though it does list down here T for text as an option. You could override this and hit T for text, and it will use that instead. But this is what they preferred. And I'm just going to hit page down here. Now, those that are on newer versions will see that there's no longer a, both send and save or edit or, a function right in here because it's using the new email function in the system. So I'm going to hit page down. It's going to ask who is emailing. I'm going to put my clerk code in, and that just grabs my name essentially for the email. And this is the new emailing system. It works very much like the text messaging. We have some templates that we have created. It comes with some default templates, but I highly recommend if you're just new to this or just switching this on, you will want to create your own templates for any corner case situations you may come across. But in this case, this is what the default is doing right now. So it's saying, hi, Trevor, this is Mosaic Books regarding your order. It's giving a number. I've even talked to some stores who've actually removed this. They didn't want to have this online order reference number listed here. And you can actually modify the template to not display those if you want. You can do that using the T for templates command. I won't be going into that today, but T for templates allows you to change up your templates. So it's now scanning their order and giving them a status update. These items are ready for pickup. So now in our new email function, it's giving a point form kind of list version. So it's not kind of giving the invoice style. It's giving a much more simplified, easy to read view. And then right here, we've got a status for things that are canceled because we were unable to locate or obtain them. So and it's listing that book. So this is where I would, at this point, if I want, maybe add a note right below here to the customer to offer them the option of ordering it. So this is where under the action field here, you can basically do E for edit. So if I do an E for edit, I get my screen up here and I can go down and essentially make a note here and go, whatever I want to put in here. So put some stars maybe. We can easily order. I want, oops, maybe I'll put it in quotes. I want my hat back. Will be here for pickup in about 3 days. Please let me know if you'd like me to order this for you.
So,
Cool.
Trevor, is it common that people don't want to order things that you don't have in stock? Because we find it's the opposite. Like people always want us to pull an order in if it isn't on the shelf.
Yeah, it's really hit and miss with our store because we work with a lot of remainders. So,
Okay.
this is most common. This doesn't happen with our new books that often because we're pretty good about managing our stock and reconciling it every year, and it's fairly accurate. Our remainders are a different story. So oftentimes people will find a bargain book for $6.99. We can't find it. So then we're coming back to them and saying, we can't find this in our bargain section, but I can order it from you. It was going to be $6.99 in our bargain section, but I can order it for you for $19.99. Do you want it? And that's where we find it's hit and
Okay.
miss because
That makes perfect sense.
the prices, yeah. But if it's basically a new book, then, and especially since most of us can get books really fast these days from Ingram or a wholesaler, most customers we find are more than happy. But we still ask the question here. So I just add that kind of note here, and once I've edited my message here, I'm basically going to hit page down, and that will save that change that I made to this message. And at this point, under action, I can do an S for send. You also have the ability to, modify who it's going to. You can CC someone. There's the subject line. This little green indicator here is scanning to tell you if anything is on back order. So if you've actually made orders for anything, it's kind of telling you that this customer doesn't have anything else on back order with you. So everything here is supposed to be in stock. And again, if they come back and they reply and say, yes, please order that, I want my hat back, we'll put it on order. But right now, nothing is on order. So that's why it's showing up this way. I'm going to hit S for send at this point. I'll say yes. And that document has been emailed to me. So at this point, the log gets updated automatically once I've done that P for print, N for notice. So I don't really need to do anything here. But what I would do at this point is make a note to this log, because it's not just we've notified them that they're ready for pickup, but in fact, there are potential problems with this. We were missing one item. So it's up to you how you want to use the logging system. And that's where, again, having just a few point people who standardize their procedures is important, because I could technically hit L for log here and then escape and then press E for edit to add a note to this and be like, emailed, but waiting to hear back about COS title. Right? So I could leave a little note here. That's one way of doing this. I could also use the L for log function to actually choose like problems or, essentially, more to come maybe. If the customer were to respond back and say, yes, please order this book for me, I would then flag this order with a new log status of more to come, because there's one that's essentially on order. But it's really, there's no set way to use this logging system. It's just up to you to figure out which makes sense to you and to make that consistent amongst your staff. So yeah, so I'm just going to leave it as emailed, but with this note, because that note will be retained and anyone else can read it. So this one is technically done, though we are waiting to hear back from the customer. So that's kind of your basic, your most simple online order scenario here, where we've got things that are in stock. There's a small problem, but otherwise nothing too out of the ordinary here. So that I can move on to the next scenario unless anyone has any quick questions. The PT column, are you asking what that is? This right here? That's points, frequent buyer points. Yeah, so that's just 5%. That's telling me that 5% of this is going towards points. So yeah.
So Trevor,
Mhm.
Trevor, you've actually charged out the 57.75.
This is for another example. So that's where it gets a little bit messy in this case, because I've got 3 other orders that are under my account that I'm doing it, and one of them is a prepay. So we'll discuss this. So pretend this isn't here right now. It is gone, or it's not here. But in this case, it applies to actually a different order. So yeah.
Thank you.
Trevor,
Okay.
you've got, so we don't know where I Want My Hat Back is. What do you do with that title then?
Yeah. Oh, actually, great example. Yeah, great question. So at this point, I would actually be, if I was smart like you, and it put, it cued in my head that I should maybe let the rest of my web store and staff know that I can't find this book. I would actually use the tab, or you can edit into it, but tab is a quick way to actually get down into the line items. And then when I'm on this line item, what I would do is use the A for adjust. I would go down to on hand, I would say 0, and then I would go MIA, missing in action. That's our store's code for when we can't find something on our shelf. So if we ever can't find something on our shelf, even if we maybe are going to find it 20 minutes from now, we'll try to A for adjust it out and put a reason of missing in action. Just so, again, our website isn't showing that we have stock, our other staff, don't try to find this book. So very good point there. A for adjust would be kind of the final step there. And I won't actually adjust that right now because we do have it in stock and I'm using our live system. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next example, which again may bring up answer a bunch of other questions, because this next example should contain stuff like payments and maybe shipping as well. And in fact, what I'm going to do with this current order here is I'm going to delete this out of the system. We're done with it. So I'm just going to get rid of that. It is gone now. So once again, I'm going to start the process in the point of sale, S for search, O for online. I'm choosing the first one because that's the oldest. And in this case, I'm starting from the top to the bottom. And what I see here is that they want this one shipped. Okay, cool. They've also prepaid for this one. Looks like a MasterCard. I'm going down here. Once again, the preference is email, and notes here. I don't see a CF3, so the customer didn't provide any instructions, but I am getting an indicator of what to charge and what card to charge to use. So this is telling you right now to charge their card $205.28, and I highly recommend that you all do this. Basically, as soon as you can verify and confirm their order that everything is good to go, you want to charge their card. So we've talked to a few stores who actually wait to charge the card until the customer picks up, or they'll do it down the road. Maybe they're waiting for some items to come in before they ship. Essentially, it's kind of bad practice. When I shop online these days and I give my credit card information, I expect my card to be charged pretty much right away. If I don't see a charge come through, I start to feel weird. And especially if a few days go by, I get really suspicious of like, why wasn't my card charged? Was there a problem with my order? Is this website a scam? Like what's going on? So typically within the day of a customer checking out, or whenever you deal with it, as soon as you confirm out the details, we want to charge their card.
Let's jump in here. Two things
Sure.
we've noticed. First of all, thank you for the offer of the free license, because we're using it on another computer, which we've jammed in the back closet.
Awesome.
And we're doing exactly this. The goal is to have somebody sit back there and go through incoming orders and charge them. Are you charging before you've placed the order? Like you're just going to charge money to the card, or you're going to work through the entire order, make sure everything's makes sense, and then charge it?
You're right. Yeah, the second option there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to mention, another item that has come up is I had a client email us and saying, why did I get charged twice for the total, and why is the total $15 off? I used points without asking him, and we charged him for books that came in and then books that came in a week later. So there's a lot of opportunity for clients to get confused.
Yes. Oh yeah, hands down. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's just best to pick up the phone and call your customer. I know it's scary. Who got to call them? But even if they say they prefer email, sometimes it's just so much faster to call your customer and just say like, okay, you've submitted a few orders before, stuff has been trickling in, you've prepaid for some, you had credits, you had points. Let's just sort through this mess on the phone right now instead of trying to rely on Bookmanager to generate all this messaging for you. So, it's and in our own store, we do it all the time. We end up calling people to clarify, or we write an email. But again, calling is just so much faster than trying to write out an email with all the details. And rarely, if ever, do we have a customer who's upset about having the store reach out to them. We actually find it's probably a positive. They're like, well, isn't that nice? Like a human, I got to talk to a real human being. So it's almost a novelty these days. So don't be afraid to call your customers. You won't, they won't get upset. But anyway, yeah. So this order is a mixture, it looks like, of things that are both in stock and need to be ordered. And the reason I can tell that is from the color coding. There's also the red 1 here. There's also a B for meaning that needs to be back ordered. We got BOS. There's a lot of visual indicators that these items need to be ordered. We've also got a shipping charge here. And in this case, I just know on my store that if the customer spends over $99, they get free shipping. So that's why we've got a shipping line added, but no charge with it. It's just kind of indicating that we pass it along from the web store just to show you that yes, shipping was assessed, and in fact, it was free shipping. One improvement to this could be some sort of indicator, maybe in a note here that says like free shipping, or but it's pretty easy to see here that it's $0. It's not a mistake. It's legitimately they qualified. So like the regular, like the other example I gave, my first step with this is marking this that I am working with it. So I'm going to use L for log, and in this case, I'm going to go P for picking and throw in my ID. So now it's mine. Great. Next step is I need to create a pick list for those items that are in stock. So I'm going to hit P for print, L for pick list, and I'm going to hit page down, and that will print off my pick list. That pick list will only show the items that are in stock. So it's going to show these 2 titles, but it's going to omit these 3 that need to be ordered. So at this point, I am now going to walk around the store, pick out those books. Let's say in this example, those 2 books they're looking for are in fact in stock. I could find them off my shelf, no problem. Pretty easy. So now I've come back to my desk, and now I need to deal with the items that need to be ordered. So there's a few ways of going about this, but I just like to E for edit into it. You can again tab to get down to the bottom, but I like doing an E for edit. And that's going to get me into the order here. I am now going to start on the first item, and the red 1 is indicating that they want one of these. You need to order it, and it is yet to be ordered for this customer. So as soon as Bookmanager sees that Trevor Neal, this account number, has an order for this ISBN attached to it, it's still going to show that it's a back ordered item, but the red coloring will go away and the gray box will go away to indicate that you have dealt with this. This is especially handy if you're working with a large school order with dozens of items. So once again, with this, I'm making note of the price. This is what was quoted to the customer. So this is important when you're looking at online orders, is this doesn't always exactly match what's in your pub stock. So you want to just have a quick look. $81.50 is what you were quoting the customer. So you better charge them that, or you better find a source that works out to that. So I'm going to look here and hit the comma key to bring up pub stock. I can see Raincoast is listing at $81.50. Ingram is listing it at $80.99, so I could technically order it from maybe Indiana or Tennessee's warehouse. Our primary is Oregon and Tennessee, but in this case, my customer, I want to get their stuff as fast as possible. Our website likely quoted Raincoast as the source because it's faster than Tennessee, so this is what I'm choosing. So all this kind of adds up, 8150, rain coast, that's good. At this point, I'm going to hit R for reserve. Now you have two choices here. You could have hit O for order, but R for reserve works better because when I get to the ordering screen, it's going to automatically fill in the customer's name and their preference and also the online order number into the PO number field, so that when you receive this book, it's actually going to funnel it back to this point of sale, held sale, and group it all together. That's kind of how Bookmanager does its grouping when you receive special orders. If you've ever noticed before, sometimes you'll find that orders will combine into the same held sale and other times they'll be separate. And the way it knows what to do is by this PO number field. It'll essentially combine all special orders into the same held if the PO number is matching. So that's more of an advanced tip here. That's how you can have orders separated or combined. But here I'm just going through like a basic order. All I need to fill in here is the supplier, Rain Coast, the price, 8150 looks good. When I'm doing online orders, I don't fill out the note field here because it's, you know, on the original online order document, it's on the held sale, all the details are there. This isn't like a verbal communication you're having with a customer. There's no problems. So I'm really just leaving it as is here. You could continue to throw in, oh, that it was quoted 8150, that you put in rain coast, you know, ETA 3 days. You could put all this stuff in here if you'd like, but honestly, you know, it's all in the previous held sale, so you don't really need it if you don't want to, but you know, never hurts.
Trevor, you can probably finish that, but put it under RAIX or something so that Sarah won't see it. I just let her know.
Sure.
So
yeah.
you can go a little further.
And I'm probably just going to go T here to like throw it under my own for Trevor. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so I've got and finished that one. So now you can see the red one has gone away. It's now on
Trevor?
order.
Trevor?
Yes.
Sorry. Back to the notes field in there.
Sure.
The other issue with putting things in the notes field, if they're not necessary, is that's going to create another label is going to be generated.
Yeah.
When you're late, when that book comes in. So then you got 3 labels coming out for the same book.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you may
Yeah.
have a blank label, which stores have in the past used to record their callback notes. But now that we got the log system, a lot of stores are not even printing those notes on their secondary label. They're wanting to save a label, save a penny or so. And in fact, that's a setup option. So if you want,
3 pennies, Heather says.
Yeah. And for US users, it's probably about, 0.6 of a penny or something. So even cheaper. But yeah, there is a setup option in the system where you can actually, under your label printer, choose to have, stuff printed on the sale label. Actually, it's been moved to, under receiving now. There it is. It's a new feature. Yeah, you got me. So it's under receiving now. There's an option here. Special order slips are printed on thermal, and you can say here, yes, to print a notes label, even when special order notes are not present. You can choose yes or no to this to actually not have a blank label print. Hooray. So,
hooray. Great.
But yeah, back to here. This one's resolved. If I hit V for view to toggle the top half of my screen, I can now see that, yes, there's a special order on order, and that's, it's for this customer, so it's all good to go. So I'm working my way through this list. I'm hitting the comma key. Okay, this is a Penguin only title, at least who we work with. Penguin's our only source. So I'm going to hit R for reserve, 1. Penguin's already filled in here. I'll put in my code. There we go, done. And I'm going to go down to the last one here. Comma, another Penguin Random House title, $21. I'm hitting R for reserve. There it is. Good to go.
If you can back up one step, Trevor. So when you hit comma, there's a field in. Now, if you hit L for live, I find that this is super useful when the on hand shows very small numbers. So you had one that showed 8 a little while ago. I think it was Adventure Zone. Yeah, so Adventure Zone shows 8 from Raincoat. So if you hit L for live, it'll actually pull up that they really do have 8. And I found that relieves a bit of stress when you see very, very low numbers and you're hoping, I've had 1, 2, 3, and then you go live and it shows a different number. And then you can tell clients whether it really is available or not.
Right. And it also may be an indicator to you, whoever's sending your orders, do we need do we have a few days to send this, or should I phone this, send this order in now because they're getting low stock, especially around the holiday season when stock changes at wholesalers drastically within a day. This is huge. And the big thing with L for Live is we don't have live feeds with everybody. It's really only a select few. Raincoast is one of them. Ingram is another one. So really anyone who shows up in green with a little as of now will have the live view. And the reason why we don't make this a default function is you'll notice when I hit L for Live, it takes, I can hit comma and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took 5 seconds for that to load and actually query their warehouses. So in that case, we don't make it an automatic function, because if you were arrowing through titles and wanting to quickly hit comma, that 5-second delay could really slow you down.
Yeah, I'd probably use it once a week, maybe at the most.
And for US stores, I find it's used a lot more, because a ton of stores, most US users typically do all of their special ordering from Ingram. And when it gets down to kind of more backlist titles, the stock can be very low. And so they're wanting to, check it right away. Okay, so I've gone through and I've marked off the items that need to be ordered. There's no more red ones. I'm all good to go at this point. So now that I've finalized everything here, what I need to do is not tender it. So even though they want to prepay $205.28, you'll notice that my total in the point of sale is only showing $73.50. Most of you should probably know this, but essentially only items tagged with a sell status. So when I look at B for back order and I've got a status, anything that's set as sell will be calculated for the total, but anything that's back ordered or canceled will not be part of this total. And this is all right, because I'm actually not using this step here to record a payment to do it. I'm not pre-selling these things. Again, the way we do it at our store and the way we recommend you do it is to only sell things when they are leaving the store in the customer's hands, or when you're shipping them out. That's when we finalize the sale. So at this point in the process, I'm basically escaping out and I'm leaving this as a held transaction. Now, what this is doing is this is leaving a held transaction for those items that we have in store, but we also have the items that are back ordered listed here. And when these items are received through receiving, this will actually be updated, and the status will be changed automatically to sell when the books arrive. So this is almost like a working held. It's fluid. It will be updated and changed as titles arrive. But I still want to leave it here as a held. And you may have some customers may come in and actually pick things up before they all arrive. And in that case, when we work with that in our store, we'll actually we'll transfer out the items that they're picking up and leave the items that are still waiting kind of on its own held sale. So just really quickly right there, if the customer were coming in to pick up this order right now, I would actually bring it up, edit into it, and I can use a T for transfer function to actually move this to a new invoice, and then use that invoice to actually complete the sale. So that's one method of doing it. So if you haven't seen,
you need to log the fact that this is waiting for more to come now, because you're done, right?
Almost done.
Oh,
so I'm not there yet. Yes. So yes. So I was jumping ahead here just to show that yes, in our store we do in fact have people who come and try to do partial pickups, and we use the transfer function to deal with those. But it's up to you. Some stores will actually see for copy it and then delete off the items that they're not picking up. Whatever you find is the path of least resistance or is most intuitive to you, it works fine. But so yes, at this point, I've got everything on order. I've got the stuff ready to go. So my next step is I need to record a payment. So this is now that I know everything is good to go, we got to blast their card. So this is where I use the X for extra function and choose the first option, create a cloned transaction to record a payment. So if I enter on this, it's going to ask for my clerk code. It's basically going to duplicate the top half of the sale, but not sell any items. Again, no products are leaving the store at this time. We're just needing to record a payment and actually charge their card. And so at this point, I am going to go right through to tendering, and you'll see that this amount moves over to the right so that you can view it. And oops, someone is that. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to go right to tendering, and it moves this amount over for quick reference. And then what I'm going to do at this point is basically make a payment on account for this amount here. So there is a bit of manual entry involved. It doesn't automatically fire up there, but I'm going to go 205.28, and then I'm going to go down to the pin pad. In this case, we're using a pin pad. And at this point, I need to see their card in order to charge. So there's a K for card function. So I'm hitting K for card. I'm going to put in our password here, and that's going to show me the card. Okay, everyone, get your pens out, go nuts. But no, this is it's showing the credit card. If there was multiple credit cards on file, essentially it would give you a choice. But essentially you're going to see right here, it's telling you which card to choose if there's multiple choices. So I go ahead now, and if you are a, yeah, pizza. If we are if you're in the US and you're using Clearant, we have a new function to actually send this amount to the pin pad without manually keying in the digits. So at this point, if I hit page down to send this to the pin pad, after hitting K for card, I will get a menu with 2 items to choose from, saying the card is present or the card is not present. And if you choose the card is not present option, it will actually send all the information to Clearant and charge it out and come back to the system approved or not, and you're all good to go. For Canadian users using Chase, you still have to manually type in the credit card number, and those who are not using Chase or Clearant, same thing. You're going to have to manually type in this number. So in this example, let's say I put in their number and it comes back declined. Oh no. So we just went through all this thing. We thought everything is great. And then the customer's card does not go through. You know, it says maybe bad expiry or something. So we'll just pretend that this came back and failed and it didn't go through. So you're back to the tendering screen here if it fails. And at this point, what we need to do is essentially abandon this payment, this prepayment. I'm going to escape out of it, and it's going to bring me back to the order in question. And then now at this point, what I need to do is use my L for log to log that there's a problem. So I'm going to go L for log. I'm going to go down here to say, you know, F payment needed, or you could use problems, but I'm just going to choose F payment needed, credit card declined, you know, emailed asking, you know, what's up. Great. So I'm putting in there that the credit card was declined. I've got the note here. We also, at this point, I'm actually going to edit in and change the note here. I'm going to make it super obvious in case there's multiple staff dealing with this. So here I'm going to Alt-E. That's another function here. Maybe you don't know. If you Alt-E instead of just regular edit, you can just access the note fields here. But I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, you know, declined there. And I may even go one step further and go 6 for customers, look up their card with K for card. And I may go and edit here and say like declined November 24th. So I'm throwing in a bunch of notes. It doesn't hurt, you know, then it doesn't matter how you've kind of approached this. There's obvious if you're just looking at the card or if you're looking at the online order itself or the log, they all kind of mention that there's a problem with this card. So at this point, what I would do is I would hit notice here. I'd hit P for print, N for notice. I'm going to choose email again, or that was their preference. Put in my clerk code. And this is where we can see now if there is a template. I don't know if Mosaic's made one, ship when complete. So maybe 6, we could take a look at that. So we've got these items are in stock. We will ship your complete order when these titles arrive in store. So this is a template we've created to show that these items are in stock. And then it says explicitly, we will ship your complete order when these titles arrive in store. It's up to your store what you want to do, but in our own store, we by default will not ship an item at a time. We'll wait until all the items have arrived before we ship them all. And we say that on our website. So when customers are checking out, our shipping message notice says that right at the top. It's the first thing. We will ship complete orders. Please contact us if you want individual items shipped out as they arrive. There will be extra costs involved in that. And so right now, this is where I need to just tell my customer that there is, everything's looking good, but the credit card was declined. So this is where I'm hitting E for edit, and I can go, hi Trevor, this is your order. And they're like, I would say like, your card was declined. We'd be nicer about it, or a better finesse message. But anyway, you're just saying something like, card was declined. We will not be able to ship your order until we receive valid credit card information. Please give me an email or call back when you can. And then, so I've added a manual note to this, and I'm going to send it off with that S for send. And that one is now technically done. I'm still going to hold the books, put them on my held shelf. And in fact, in our store, we have a specific area, like a to ship shelf. So we've got an area where we're stacking things that need to be shipped. And essentially we've taken the picking list, and also made a note that there are items waiting to come. So this one will go in that pile until we hear back from the customer and until the products arrive. At this point, we may even hold off on ordering items. I may go down here and use the O for order or R for reserve to get it back into this, and maybe change this so that we don't send this order. Maybe put like an X at the end so that you can manage this order separately, because again, probably want to wait till we get payment or sort that out before we actually send these orders. So there's a few kind of housekeeping steps with this whole process. But we'll consider this one done until we hear back from the customer and need to make changes. But say they did come back and yeah, I'll finish this off. So say they did come back and say like, it's, oh, sorry, yeah, I gave you an old card and they gave me a new card. Once again, I could always bring this back up again. I could look them up under their account. I could bring it up in the point of sale. I can use the X for extra option to create a clone transaction and put in my clerk code. Now maybe I've got a new card in here, so I'd remove this declined message. And I would once again go 20528. I'd go down to pin pad. In this case, we'll just assume it was pin pad. And that would be your final step. Your true final step is essentially here. Now they've got a payment on the count for this order sitting there. And then as the books come in, they'll be added to that held sale. And when I actually go to ship the held sale, so when it's all ready to be actually, cleared out, let's go down here, payment needed. There. Oh, that's a different one. Where did oh yeah, because I changed the status here. What did I do on this one? I've lost it now. I've got to go into the customer's account here. And under here, oh, let's go into mine. Please wait. There we go. History, sales, and I'll going back to here. There it is. So once I've, when these have actually all, basically arrived, the statuses will be swapped out. So you'll notice that the status will say sell instead of back order when they've all arrived in. And at this point, this is where when I go to actually ship it out to them, I'm going to use the credit redeemed tender here, and I'm going to put in 20528. It should match this amount right here, be pretty cut and dry. All is good to go. So that would be the true completion of this when I actually ship it out. And that'll give a nice paper trail for the whole thing. So I'm going to remove this one. And in fact, I'm going to delete that, that sale I just did, this payment, so that it doesn't confuse my next example. So I'm just removing this. Okay. So that one's a bit messy, but as all of you know, not every online order is goes through cleanly. So the next example I'll jump into will again illustrate another thing in another maybe corner case with this. oops, so I'm going to go search O for online. I got another one here, and I'm going to press enter on it. And once again, starting from the top to the bottom, I can see this is a shipped order. The terms look like, it's interesting, it didn't pop in with the terms, so I don't know if that's a bug. Michael can maybe make note, because this is in fact a MasterCard. But there we go. So I can see that down here. And the difference with this one is I have a bill to and a ship to. So what's happened here is the customer has essentially had an account on your web store, but they decided to at checkout choose a different shipping address. So I'm buying some books for my mom, maybe, and I'm having it shipped to her. So we've got a bill to and a ship to. So nothing really out of the ordinary with this one so far. So I'm going to work through this just like any other order, where I'm going to see if there's an F3 message. There isn't. This is another little thing that needs to be ironed out. We don't see their communication preference yet here. So I can't tell if they want a text or an email or how they want to be communicated from. You can actually find that out in the next step when I start working with this. So we just have to actually look at their bill to account to find that preference, but it is something that should be visually on your screen. I don't know if the pick list will have it on it. You'd have to see, but like before, I'm going to use the L for log to choose P for picking. Mark it as such. And then here I am going to now basically work through this and find the items that I need to pick off my shelf. So I'm going to P for print, L for pick list. Can I do a preview of this? I'm just wondering again if it's going to show. No, this shows like an 8.5 by 11 pick list. You can, for those of you who maybe have this pick list set up to go on your 8.5 by 11 printer, that works. But if you happen to have a receipt printer attached, the pick list just looks so much better because it's got the customer's name in large at the top. It's got the barcode. It's much neater to tuck into the books. So if you haven't set that up yet, a receipt pick list, let us know and we can maybe help you figure out why that isn't working. But it's much preferred these days. But yeah, I'm basically going through the pick list at this point and finding the books that are on my shelf. Great. So maybe I found those two just fine. And now I'm going to go through it and make some orders for the things that are out of stock. So I'm going to do an E for edit. I'm getting into here. Once again, I've got $0 shipping charge because the whole order, $126.84, is over $99 are free shipping. So I'm going to look at this book here and I say, oh, it's not a book at all. It says Blue Mosaic. And actually I need to add this to our website. It's basically a gift card. This customer wants a gift card for $25. So I need to tidy up the description on our web store to say Blue Mosaic gift card. I don't know why it's not there, but that's a user specified description that I need to change. But the other indicator that this is a gift card is this GCD here. So we're finding GCD is like the placeholder number for our gift card. So what this is telling me is I don't sell this as is or order this. I need to swap this out for a real gift card. So at this point, what I would do is delete this out while making note of the $25. Okay, they want $25. And then I would add a gift card manually to this sale by scanning it, or in this case, I'm just going to type it in and I'm going to put in $25. Great. And I can go recipient name. I can see, oh, okay, this is actually to a Mama Neil. So I'm going to go Mama Neil and throw that on there. Great. So I've added the gift card. That one is done. So there's only one other thing that's got a back order status. And what I'm seeing here is it's a BNYP. This means that it needs to be back ordered because it's not yet published. So this is essentially a pre-order. So this is where we're getting this more and more these days, where customers are essentially checking out for items that are both in stock, need to be ordered. They want it shipped, but some of those items aren't releasing until far down the road. So we've got a March 9th pre-order here in the system. So I'm pressing V for view to toggle the top half of my screen so I can see that the exact release date. The customer also sees this when they check out on the web store. It says not releasing, but again, we need to now clarify with our customer, like, what do you want to do? Do you want us to hold everything here and ship it out when your pre-order arrives? Or do you want to ship part of your order out now and the other part later? So this is where we need to now communicate. Do you have a comment, Diana? Nope.
Oops.
No. Okay. Yeah, so this is where I need to talk to my customer to figure out what exactly they want to do. Once again, I could go here and or I'm going to go here, use comma. I'm going to find out, I'm going to get this from Penguin. So I can do the R for reserve. I can go and put in an order here for this. Done. That's all good and dandy. And I'm going to escape out, save as a held transaction. But once again, when I go to send the actual notice, I need to clarify that with them. And this is again where, since the notification is missing, and you kind of have to use, you have to kind of figure it out. Like, am I needing to send a notification to the bill to or the ship to in this case? And it's not always clear. Like, sometimes you may have schools set up who the bill to is the school district and they're buying on behalf of the school. Therefore, or the school's buying the books and wanting to pick them up, but the school district is footing the bill. In that case, when you do notifications, you want to send it to the two. But in this case, I'm guessing, looking at this looks like it's a present for this person. It's being drop shipped to them. In that case, I'm probably needing to notify the bill to about what's going on with this order and, when it's shipped and when, if there's any problems. So this is where we need to make note of who we're going to send this notice to and when the preference. So this is where, when you're editing into this order right now, you can actually go back up to the bill to, hit page up, and then I can see, okay, their preference is email because it's not so obvious. So once again, you got to kind of work your way backwards. Maybe we'll get this added so that you can actually see that preference here or somewhere else. So
yeah, just to jump in, Trevor. Yeah, I can see, it's a terrible mess when we have the bill to and it's a gift and it's being shipped to another place. There's a whole bunch of cases that need to be cleaned up. So anyway, good at least that you're trying to explain some workarounds, but hopefully I'll get that cleaned up.
Yep. But in this case, since emailing is the preference, it's actually where it kind of falls apart is the texting will fall apart here. If they prefer to do a text, it actually won't grab the right phone number. So, but that'll be fixed hopefully soon. It's something we just kind of found in testing this. But once again, I'm going to hit P for print, N for notice. In this case, it's choosing text, because I don't think it can see what the preference is. And again, if I choose text, it's not even filling in a phone number. It's not grabbing anything. So this is where, in this case, I'm going to manually override this with an E for email. And when I hit page down here, it's going to bring up a list, choose customer email address. And there's only one in this case to notify by. But it does, if the ship to did have an email address attached to it, it would show on the list. But in this case, I want to send something to the bill to. I'll just say no to this. I guess I gotta say yes to this one to make it work. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll try it again. There we go. So I don't know what happened there, but I got there by hitting the keyboard a few times. And now with this one, I'm basically gonna write a message. I'm gonna do essentially an E for email, and we can even see down here, like there's an option 6 again, ship when complete. So this is where maybe I won't choose the shipping when complete because I'll just add a message right away. I'll do an E for edit and it'll be like, hey, one of the items you ordered is not releasing until March 2021. Do you want us to hold the entire order until then? Or ship what's in stock now. Excuse my really sloppy typing. And then I would also probably say something like, if we ship now, your first order will ship for free, but your pre-order will be $8 to ship. At this point, this is where I'm saying where sometimes it's easier to get on the phone and just call the person. But this is the kind of stuff that Alicia said and her staff do right now, is they do get a lot of orders in that are a mixture of pre-orders and stuff. And they just have to have this conversation because depending on when the pre-order is releasing, maybe it's only a month from now and the customer's willing to wait for everything to bundle together. But in this case, it looks like some items are a Christmas present and others are a future release. So this is where you have to ask the customer and then specify again, maybe there will be additional charges. It's all up to your store what you're going to do. Maybe you'll ship their back order items for free, but essentially that's what we got to do. So,
if you go back a couple steps,
mhm.
when you were choosing email notification, if you chose text, will it also show you multiple phone numbers?
It may. Let me see. I haven't tested that. So let's just see here. If I go P for print, N for notice, text.
Let me jump in. Yeah, it's not.
No,
I'm
it's
almost
not.
there.
So it's a
We
bug.
started that one, Dave, and
Okay.
so I want to get that cleaned up ASAP.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, if they did do text, you'd almost have to copy their number right now until this is fixed. But as Michael's indicating, it's likely maybe something will get fixed pretty shortly.
I'm just ahead of the curve.
You are ahead. And I discovered this morning when I was doing this testing too. And I was like, oh, weird. The texting with a bill to ship to doesn't work properly. So I guess it just doesn't happen all that often. I asked Alicia about it and she was kind of like, I don't know. So I guess it doesn't happen in their store all that often, in our store at least. So maybe again.
I've only seen it like once
Yeah.
where I wanted to choose a different number because we have a lot of customers who have husband and wife in the same account,
Right.
which can lead to all sorts of confusion. And I want to text the husband and not the wife and whatever. We figured it out.
And we got a question about ship, delivery, pickup notes. The log is the best bet for any sort of notes there to do something. And sometimes with the log, we'll do this, like we'll go, more to come, option I here, and we'll do this, C F3, oops, for notes. Because this area is great, but it's very small. You don't have, if you need to write a few more than a sentence, basically you're out of room. So what I can do is go more to come, flag it that way. And then if you hit 6 for customers, and this is the customer, again, the order is under. So this is where I'd want to leave the note. I can actually hit F3 here and then hit N for new. So this is, again, another function that you may not know, but you can actually have messages focused on a particular customer and also have multiple, like a log of messages or notes on their account. So not just say a message in the note field here or an M for message here. You can actually go F3, N for new. We can go to this customer. I just press enter a bunch of times. I can put in a subject. So, notes on pre-order to be shipped. And I get basically, right now I have my computer popping up with Notepad. Actually pops up for me, but I'm actually basically creating a note here. I'll just do something here real quick. So now basically I have a note that I've written and it's attached to her account. So this is a feature I won't get too much into, but essentially on any customer here, you can press F3 and you can have a listing of both their orders and any notes you've made on their account. And it's all time and date stamped here with the subject line. This is actually what we use in-house. Whenever one of you guys, the store, calls for support, we go to your account in Bookmanager and go into F3 and log what we talked to you about, who we talked to, if there's any follow-up needed. And so we can go to any one of our stores right now and see a huge listing of all their calls and refer back. It really helps for support if especially we got halfway through a solution, but it can be used for your customers too. Probably won't need it much, but for those that need a little bit more long form, the F3 area is really handy.
I think it's getting down to Q&A time. We got your last
we're
25
getting really
minutes.
close. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else to finish with this one besides, of course, figuring out before I even charge their card. At this point, I would essentially want to talk to the customer and figure out what they want to do. And if we need to add an additional charge, if they want this book shipped separately. But essentially, this is where under the more to come status here, or, again, you're waiting to hear customer back. That's where I've added CF3 for notes. And that's where I could write a little thing like, looks like some of the books are in, some are out of stock and need to be, they're a part of a pre-order. We're waiting to hear back from the customer, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to see if I have another one here. Oh yeah, the last scenario I just wanted to quickly touch on was PayPal orders. So for those of you that are doing PayPal, we released this feature in the last year and it kind of went under the radar, but essentially this is where this 5775 posting came from. That we have our system set up under Alt-S for setup, and under the V web store options, there is an option here called auto post payments completed online to customer's account. So when this is set to yes, those done by PayPal will actually already post the payment to the customer's account ready to go, because PayPal charges the customer's card right away. And so therefore, there's no reason for you to manually post the payment. You can just have Bookmanager do it for you. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to this depending on how you use the customer ARs, if you use it for your prepayments or not. But in our case, we do everything on account for prepayments. It works 99% of the time. Sometimes there's those corner cases where it gets a bit messy, but for most customers, this is actually, we find a little more streamlined than manually doing it ourselves. But once again, a PayPal order works exactly the same as a regular order, where you will mark it that you're working on it. You'll print a pick list. You'll order anything that needs to be ordered. The only difference is at the very end, you're not going to need to go X for extra and create a clone transaction, because that's already been done. That's what this is here for. The only thing I wanted to touch on with this, where say you go to find these books and, oh, the music lesson, it's not on my shelf. Great. We already charged the customer's card, and yet we can't find the book. So this is where, once again, we're going to have to notify the customer that, I'm sorry, we couldn't find this book. Yeah, we'll edit the status to say canceled, all the rest, send them a notice, and then we'll ask them what they want to do. We'll say like, well, it looks like we can get it in a few days, or about 5 days or so, 5-7 days, $17. The price is the same. Do you want me to order it for you? Now, in the case of a customer who says, no, thank you, don't worry about it. I just want to pay for or I'll just grab the one book that is in stock, and that's fine. Then what we end up doing is we end up bumping over to PayPal and issuing the customer a refund for the difference. So at this point, what we do in here is we actually transfer this over. We'll go T for transfer. We'll create a new invoice. We'll have a new total, $39.90 for this. And so we can always do the math here. The old F7 calculator. I don't know if any of you have seen that or in a while, but F7 in Bookmanager brings up a calculator, and I can even use this M for move command to move it around. Oh, the future. It's high tech. I loved that as a kid. I was always blown away. I was like, whoa, Dad, you can move the calculator on your screen. I remember my early memories of Bookmanager. This was it. But anyway, here at this point, what I'm probably going to do is some math just to figure out what the difference is. I'll do the M for move again. What am I back here? $39.90. So $39.90, there we go. So $17.85 is what I need to refund my customer. So if you are at all familiar with PayPal, and maybe I'll just show you guys really quick right here. There it is. So I think you can probably see that now. Maybe my PayPal screen.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I got some money I got to get.
Yeah. So at this point, what you can do when you log into your PayPal portals, I can just click on, payment for Trevor Neal, $57.75. There it is. And oops, it's wanting me to log in because I've been out for a bit. But when I'm in here, there's an issue refund button. It's really simple. I just click on this, and I would just go down and make note of that amount. Okay, it was, again, $17.85, and I would go back here and put in $17.85. I'd refund them the difference if the customer, again, doesn't want that book. We basically, in our store, we're not in the practice of putting the full amount on their account and then them having a credit. If we can't get the books and the customer doesn't want to order the book, we just issue the refund. But some stores may end up just putting this extra $17.85 on account as a credit. And then in this case, if we are doing a refund for $17.85, I need to record that in Bookmanager. And that's where I created that other transaction that was a canceled item. And actually, if I go here under, where is it under? Probably the AR area, actually.
You got to switch your screen back to.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much.
There's been a few, like I know everybody's asking the same question probably about this credits and deposits and mixing them up with other credits and prepayments. I agree it's a mess. Everything goes into the one bin right now, that accounts receivable. And so it does require you to kind of manually figure out how much and what it applies to. And I'm sorry about that, but you can at least go to number 6 and see the different credits that have been applied to perhaps put the puzzle together. I understand it, but it's going to be a 2021 project again. I tried it about a year and a half ago and it was an absolute failure. So it's way too complicated. So anyway, that's the problem that I'm challenged with. And so hopefully I've got something for you. Any more questions? Yeah.
So I'm just,
Mike, you know that I'm going to ask, based on what you just said, this question. Is there any way, we were talking about it last night at a staff meeting, to tie that payment specifically to those books? And what we were talking about doing was completing the sale, like taking the money and completing, instead of doing a clone and whatever, like actually completing the sale. So that money applies to those books and those books are paid for, so the credit won't sit there.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And so for instance, I know Books Are Magic is a high volume store. The only way they could manage it because of the high volume was to basically tender everything out as completed. And then this is where when you print, you saw there was a held receipt you could do, and then they would print out the held receipt, which was basically, it's not really held, it's a completed sale. And then, so all the customer does now is just pick up the order when it's when they come in and you don't tender it. So in certain situations, that's probably the simplest thing, is just to finish it off.
Yeah, Shelley, what we're doing, Books on Beechwood in Ottawa, is when we have all the books on hold and available, we complete the sale, we bag it, we put the pick list on the outside and we stick it on the hold shelf. It makes it confusing because there's no more sale in the system, but you know,
Are you using, Dave, are you using the log feature to say then waiting for pickup or something like that?
No, that's something new I learned today.
Yeah, you would use the ready for pickup even on a completed sale.
That's right.
That should help you a great deal.
Yeah, but what we're finding is that people are really happy that there's a bag, it's closed, it's taped shut, everything's in there, the payment is done, the receipts are inside. Whether it's store credit or MasterCard or whatever, it's worked really well so far. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the log feature.
yeah. And then at this point, you could use the L for log to go down when the customer actually picks it up. If you wanted some indicator that the customer did pick this up, you could then go back L for log and choose T for taken, done,
Cool.
you know, when it's actually applied. And we used to do this for years at Mosaic. We would always pre-sell things, but it happened sometimes where customers would come up and say, okay, I'm here to pick up my books, and we couldn't find it. And then we had no idea in Bookmanager, well, we see a sale that went through 2 weeks ago when the order was like arrived and you know, when we received it, and we, you know, we just checked them, you know, out, but we have no indicator of when the customer actually picked up. So this is where you can use the log to maybe actually mark something is ready to ship, or, you know, essentially the customer is notified, but it's not yet taken or done. And that would be maybe your final say, even putting in things like the customer's name, you know, like picked up by, you know, by Bob, you know.
Yeah, it's ready to, it's working out quite well for the stores that have figured it out, that all this, you continually use the log to see where it's at, and then when it's done, it's done. And then when you search for the online, and you go through the list right now, Trevor, you can search for log again, and you get to see, just press O for online, that's good. Yeah, but just page down and keep page down. So there's our problems. These are all some stuff waiting for all to come in. Keep going, keep going. You can see that these are all ready to go. And then you're into, well, there's some stuff that, but those are basically,
don't call, reserve, you know, all these ones are basically,
and they're all
good.
They're all supposed to be at, but you should be able to just look at the highlighted stuff at the top and keep it tidy. And that's, anyway, that's my tip. It's working out fairly well for the stores that have invested the time.
Yeah, and as you can see, the log area is organized as you see it here. This is how it's organized in the log screen. So this is kind of in order of priority. So we're always going to show new online first, followed by picking, followed by notifications. Those are, just to clarify, a lot of my new stores are confused by this, but notify customer means that these are items that you just received, special orders you've just received, and you have yet to notify your customer about. So they're more, again, you need to tell your customer what's up, that they can pick up their order that's being shipped, and that's why it's kind of top of the list. But
There's another good question that just came in about, looks like customers, they're getting too many of the same customer accounts every time they do an online order.
Yeah.
They're getting another one. And I guess that's just because they're sort of being, they're just using the guest checkout option.
click and collect.
And click and collect, so that all we're asking for is a name and a phone number. And so unless I can find it's an exact match, then I can't make the assumption and merge the two together, unfortunately. So
We
that's,
turned that one off, and so we actually
Click and collect.
require. Yeah,
Click.
we found that it was a little bit more work to get clients to make accounts, but
yeah,
this whole
Interesting.
confusion went away.
interesting, because I felt that removing the friction was most important, as long as we were able to deal with it at our end. But
Yeah.
there'd probably be interesting to hear some other points of view on that.
Yeah, so I talked to Alicia about this specifically, and I asked her, what do you do in the case of merging accounts? And she said at the beginning, when we first released the new merge feature, she was trying to work through and merge it. And with the volume of online orders they do, she says, you know what? About a month ago, we stopped. We just don't care anymore. We now have some customers with like 6 accounts in our system. And honestly, we've just stopped merging them. She says, maybe in the new year, I'll go through and figure out a way to clean this up. But right now, she basically just doesn't worry about merging it, because a few times, some of her staff or herself have merged accounts incorrectly or made a mistake. And she's just like, it's just easier in the end just for me to leave these counts separated. And those counts then aren't accruing points, and they're not, all that. There's problems, but that's again just kind of speaking to what Alicia does in our store. So
yeah, I would agree better too. Like it's 2 or 3 customers in there 2 or 3 times. It's not the end of the world. Certainly, it's got lots of capacity for that.
So for that question for Irving, there's the switch right there. So it's Alt S for setup, A for general, and then if you want to enable logging, if you have the version that has it available, it's right at the bottom. Enable POS held transaction logging. I'd recommend, if you have been a longtime Bookmanager user and this is not turned on, do this on your server computer, because it's got to go through and convert all your existing transactions to logged things, and it can, on a slow workstation, it can tie the station up for a few minutes. So do this maybe on your server station so it'll happen fast, or do it when you don't have a customer in front of you, because it can take some time. But
I'm going to respond to the last question. Andrea asked about forcing customers to make accounts, and is there any downsides? Yes, we found that customers have a hard time making accounts. So we've actually had to walk through and phone calls and whatnot to help people make accounts online. But once they've got an account, there's no issues after that.
Yeah, we had a good one, Dave. Yeah, we've actually figured out around here a little bit of logic to how we can create the account on their behalf, and then just send them an email and said, here's your account, ma'am. And that might help.
Yeah, so, and that's something that will be coming with a new version of the web store that we'll be starting to kind of unroll in the new year. We've got some really cool stuff coming in the pipe, but we're not releasing any of it between now and Christmas for obvious reasons. But we have a new programmer on our team, Mike. His name happens to be Mike as well, another Mike, and he is just he's extremely intuitive with front-end web design. And so we've basically really tackled this whole account creation, because it is a sticking point for a lot of customers. And it is not the most streamlined thing. Like if you make a mistake on your account creation form, it always wipes out your password when you try to correct it. So that will trip up customers thinking, I've already entered a password, but it actually blanks it out. And then the whole, I am shopping on behalf of a school or a company field fiasco, which we recently hid on the site, that was causing confusion. So there's a lot of improvement in that area, and it's definitely one of the biggest areas I want to kind of redo to make account creation just seamless, and you the store don't have to tell customers how to create an account. It should be more obvious.
We
Better
would love to have more beginner stuff. I'm finding that I'm desperately, every single customer I ask if they've used our online store, and we're finding tons of them that have no clue we have an online store. So I'm actually looking for suggestions, ideas to get people to notice it. It's on every single one of our ads. It's on every single email. It's on every single newsletter. I don't know. I was going to say people don't read, but this is the wrong crowd, right?
Well, it's true though. That's another thing.
Oh,
we
they
discovered.
don't though,
Yeah.
Dave. I've experienced it myself, and I work with authors.
Yeah.
All
It's
right,
funny
okay.
how customers typically, they like to read books, but anything to do with your website or instructions, they don't want to read. We have explicit notes on our
I think
online orders that say like, please do not come and pick up your order until we have emailed you back. Yet we have customers every day coming in to pick up their orders, and they didn't get a response email. We have books that are on order, nothing's ready to pick up, and they're going, oh, well, I didn't read it. So that's one of our challenges, is how do we make the site work properly and communicate things when people don't want to read what's on their screen. So, but that's a good challenge that I'm really stoked about addressing. So
I like it's not just me.
Oh no, it's everybody.
No, anybody that's mastered the art of social media, that's where then more and more people discover that you can do this. But basically, in our town anyway, I know Mosaic Books, people Google it all the time, and then we're right there, and then they use it. So it's been ramping up quite nicely over the years and just getting bigger and bigger. So I don't know what to do other than make sure that, you're found with the first search.
So a little quick, like a super quick tip here, because you asked like, how can you, or maybe we brought up making an account for a customer. So sometimes this happens with like schools. You're wanting to, essentially a librarian wants to start shopping on your site, and you want to make the process as seamless as possible. And in fact, you actually want to even hook them up so they have a discount ready to go, 20% off your site, not just after their first order, but ready to go right when they log in. We'll actually go onto our site on their behalf and create an account with their email address, and we'll go through the whole create an account for process. Now, this does require you to, on the setup options for your site, to have email verification of your of new customers turned off. You have to, under accounts here, have this require email verification from new users when they create a new account. We turn this off. I would
highly recommend everybody do that regardless, because that's another friction point that's not necessary.
It's old-fashioned.
It's kind of old school. Well, wait for an email and then you can click on and activate your account. Well,
we don't get many bots. There's an anti-bot question as part of the sign-up form that's can't really be hacked. You need someone's like eyes to read it, like a human needs to see it. So we don't incur bot accounts or fake accounts. But again, when this is checked off, when you go through the account creation process, you set up the account for the customer, and then after you've created the account, when you're all done, you'll be logged in, and then you can immediately go in here and choose edit my account. And then you can go change my password. And when I click on this, it's going to send an email to the person who you're creating the account for to change their password. And that's what you can essentially do, is you can say, oh, hey, you're going to get an email that's going to say like, change your password. I've set up the account for you. You just have to click this link, put in your new password, and then they're logged in, ready to go. Their info is filled in. They're, again, if it's a school or a teacher, their discounts live and ready to go. And that is, again, another thing we're looking at for the new year, a slightly faster way of doing this, where you can essentially create accounts on your customer's behalf. So
I noticed a question about PayPal. Do you want me to just comment briefly about what my thoughts are with PayPal?
Do it.
It is expensive. It's about 3.5%, I think, by the time the smoke clears. It has the complicated issues where you have to do partial refunds, but it's also, I think my daughter Alicia, she was the one that said the most. She says, I'm sometimes sitting in bed and I'm on my phone, and it just seems so easy just to click PayPal. Otherwise, I got to get out my credit card and do this stuff, and sometimes I won't do it. So it does remove the friction. You will get a few more orders as a result of PayPal, and whether or not that extra percentage point that it's going to cost you for the credit card, I would say it's probably worth it. So that's So we've used it. It is a bit of, you have to transfer the money out. Oh, and I should add though that when you start a PayPal account, we've had stores that have had to wait weeks before they will even let them get the money out, even though the customer's been charged. There's some vetting thing and issues that it takes time. So PayPal is, I'm on the fence. All right.
So I also just kind of, I don't know if you got that question. I was just doing the logging area here. You can essentially add and remove log entries at will for anything. It doesn't even have to be a held sale. It can be a current sale, any transaction in the point of sale. You can hit L for log. You can add an additional status to it, update to it. You can also press escape to browse the existing entries here. You can do D for delete, E for edit, N for new. So this is where, again, the log sometimes will update it half a dozen times in a day for a single order, depending on all the back and forth between the customers. So we're getting great use out of the log. Yeah.
Question here about notifying people who are ordering online. They're ordering, say, December 6th. They put their e-order through. They think they're going to get it for Christmas. At what point or where can you put a notification so that they know that there's a cutoff time for ordering for Christmas?
Yeah, so I would put that in 2 places essentially. So I'm just going to share my screen back to the website here. I would create a banner for one on my homepage right up at the top, just something text that just stands out, maybe in red, especially as you get closer to Christmas. And you could just mention, like, most orders, you have until, December 15th to get many orders or most orders, or you can put a cutoff there. So that'd be one place. And then the second place I would throw it is on the actual checkout message. So just so it's very obvious, under the setup, web store settings, and under, I think it's under ordering here. If I scroll down to the ordering section, there's a checkout message area here. And this is where we have stuff right now about our COVID policy, stores open for browsing, for curbside pickup. But I would also have around Christmas, about, titles that need to be ordered or products that need to be ordered. You have until this date for guaranteed pickup, so that's what we do. Yeah.
This has been really good.
I have a
I'd
question.
like to,
I don't think.
yeah, let's have a couple more questions before we go ahead. That's great. But I'd just like to, before you guys sign off one by one going on, send us some suggestions on how this went and just help us out and how it looks like we can maybe get this. We had about 30 attendees or 28. So this is pretty exciting. And so thank you. Go ahead, Heather.
I think we need a few more options in our in the log for here, I'm just going into it for our pickup or ready to ship. We have so many, maybe we don't have them all activated because we have in-store pickup, we have local delivery, we have ship to school, we have, is there more that I'm not seeing?
Like on this list you're talking right here, or are you talking about like the via here field? So if you're not seeing this complete list here, then I know we have added a few of these or tweaked them a bit since the logs first release back in the spring. So if you haven't got an update in the past month or two, I would definitely get an update.
No, I update all the time.
Yeah, no, I think she's up to date.
Everything.
I can see where that she's got it like a day old. There's
yeah, there
we
are
just
a few
need more options.
You would like more separation with the that, and so we'll have to look into that. I mean, it doesn't hurt to send us some suggestions of something that you're commonly doing, because really you've got to go, ready for pickup, right? And then you've got to put in the note, well, it's going to be a local and so on. So, yep.
Even 2 categories would be helpful.
Yeah, so you can email us or send us what you think you'd like added, and we'll have a look.
Thanks, Trevor. One more quick question. Once you're in the log, can you do any searching within it, or is it all scrolling and
like within a single customer's log or the full log?
No. So once you're in the full log, so you're on there, you go down an L and you've got that. Can you search within that at all, or do you just have to keep scrolling?
So there is an S for search function, but all the search does is bring back to where to start. So you can't search a particular log entry,
Oh
but you
dear.
can go by a section. I can go and say, go B for
You can go by a
problems.
section.
Yeah, so I go so when I go up here to log, it usually defaults to O for online, but I can actually just choose a section. I want to start at F for payment needed. Now it won't just
Okay.
filter, it'll just start at that point. So that's where it's going to show everything below that point, but it will filter. And then if you get into actually searching for specific transactions, you have to do by the customer or the invoice number. That's your usual S for search and using a section or an invoice number or a customer or something.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't realize to use that. I'm always just in section hitting L and then having everything.
No, yeah. So we find that this actually loads a bit faster too. The indexing on this is faster than the section, at least I find. So when I'm going in here working with this seems to populate a lot faster than going S for search and section, H for held or log or something.
Well, it's the S for search, and then under the section, when you put O, a lot of people are still doing that. It's really slow. It's also
you can see, look at this.
features. But I provided that just for a compatibility, and I might just end up taking it away and saying, well, okay, you're going to go the other way.
Where the section here will just.
Sorry, I just hadn't noticed it. Good, thank you.
And you go up to log, and that's what you use.
Go to emails and print off a label for those guys.
Why can't you not printing?
Because they're out of ink, out of yellow ink.
Everybody, the other big thing that I might just throw out to you that we're getting lots of positive feedback is the special orders notices when you're receiving coming out on the receipt printer rather than the label printer.
Hallelujah.
Well, apparently, I had no idea. Most people, like I always thought, we have a receiving at the back. We don't have a receipt printer, and I guess I'm too cheap to buy another one. But this is kind of a game changer for everybody.
We just ordered
comments
one,
on that?
Michael. We just ordered literally one because you have the extra license. That computer we're setting up in the back closet is going to have its own receipt printer, its own telephone, and its own wireless pin pad, so that we can lock somebody in the closet and they can get some work done.
The receipt printer is proving to be quite a handy little device for printing out different things, right?
Yeah.
And
we use it for held sale pick lists, for which we also stick in the book once we find it and stick it on the shelf. That's awesome because nobody could read my handwriting.
That's good. Okay, well, that's so I'm going to put a little more effort into that special order slip on the receipt printer, and
Yeah, and I'll mention here, we just added support for the most popular receipt printer in production. At least it's the best selling one. So if you, and it should work for a few Epson models. So if you currently have a Bixalon, we still recommend the Samsung Bixalon. It's a little bit better of a printer, but the Epson is a bit cheaper. And we've just talked to a lot of stores who happen to just have one of these from an existing system, or they had one before they jumped on board with Bookmanager, or they just bought one. This will now work in Bookmanager. And print out the held receipt with the barcode. It'll print your logo. I find that it prints a little faster than the Bixalons, but the logo isn't as nice. I guess the logo printing, it's still pretty good. But the big thing is, again, you can use this printer. So if any of you have an Epson and you're maybe thinking, oh, it'd be great if this worked with Bookmanager, it will. And it will print the barcode and the held receipt and the pick list just fine. So you could always designate.
It's also good if you use the GL.
Sorry, I'm gonna leave.
Yep.
But anyway, yes, I just wanted to throw that out there. That's a new supported model. So, but I think that's a wrap. If yes, as you say, a lot to learn, a lot to digest. We're going to be going through this call log afterward, or the comment log, the texting messages, and find any questions that were not answered. Probably there was a ton of them. We'll be calling back about those questions. So again, as long as your name and your store was, or we could probably figure it out from your name, but we'll be able to get back to you. And then again, within the next day or two, we'll be releasing the video, a recording of this. Probably don't need to watch it again, but for anyone who maybe staff who couldn't make this appointment, the video will be in full with the audio log, everything attached. So
thank you very much.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, that was awesome. I learned a bunch of stuff. I've forgotten a bunch of stuff. I will have to rewatch the video.
Yes, and the we couldn't have a BMA, so this is a nice way to kind of start doing this. So we'll probably try to plan more of these, and we're open to subjects. You can always send us an email if there's a topic you think you'd like to learn more about, and also the group would benefit on. We're always open for ideas. So with that, I'm going to kick everyone out. So speak
Okay,
now or forever hold your
bye.
peace. All right.
Bye.
Bye. How do I stop this?
And in the bottom right corner.
If I had that, where is it up here? And more end. Is it doing it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
You're stuck with us.
I'm stuck with you. Your screen is paused. That's weird. I see the dialog box pop up and then it disappears immediately. It doesn't let me do it.
You want to make sure you save the chat. Actually,
Yeah.
no, I might send it to you, and then you can just quit Zoom and
Yeah.
it should.
There we go. I think I got it. Okay, perfect.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Trevor.